So right now I have Corey Jones. He's the founder of Safety Man Consulting on the phone right now. And he does active shooter training. So Corey, can you just tell us what should people do in a situation like this where they're encountered with somebody shooting in a building?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on to provide this critical information when we just are witnessing a live crisis. People have to start thinking about this beforehand. If you're going to try to make it up on the spot, you're not going to be effective. Companies, employees, and team members need to train in identifying potential workplace violence and knowing what to do when we get any signs that it might be happening. And the federal government's already figured it out with the run, hide, fight protocol.
Right, and what we saw with some of these employees leaving the building with their hands in the air, what is that common tactic when people are being evacuated from an active shooter situation? I mean, is that a good sign when you're seeing people being evacuated from the building itself?
Absolutely, that's a great sign. From both, the more people we have out of the potentially affected area, the easier it is for law enforcement to do their critical work of ensuring that anybody who may be injured gets critical care and ensuring that any potential further violence is stopped, and then hopefully apprehending the shooter or shooters or active bad guys. Right. Also, the reason we have people come out with their hands up is we can quickly scan them, check to make sure they don't have any weapons. If they're complying, that's good. Even if the bad guy leaves, which has happened in the past, remember, our goal at that immediate instant is to stop the violence and render care. So if we accomplish those two goals by getting everybody to come out with their hands up, leave their bags and backpacks and everything else away, we can do our job faster, reunite everybody faster, and get people safe faster.
And Corey, we don't know the specifics of this situation, you know, the status of the shooter or shooters at this point, but the fact that we saw people coming out with their hands up and going to the parking garage, walking outside, and not being locked down and confined into a room, that I guess would be a good indicator that police do have the situation controlled to some degree.
There's two things that shows. One is that the police are responding, and if they didn't at the time, they're definitely going to have an easier time getting it under control. There may be some difficulty in accountability of who's supposed to be in the hospital, who's no longer in the hospital, and who hasn't been accounted for or reunited yet. So that could provide some challenges. But the good thing is that run, hide, fight is not linear. Like stop, drop, and roll if you catch on fire, that's a linear process. Run, hide, fight is you do the best course of action from where you are, where violence comes to you, or you hear violence in the area. And when you're running to leave, to evacuate, you're being prepared to hide if you have to, or to fight for your life or the lives of the people you're with. So whichever one of those three response options you choose, you're always thinking, and hopefully you've trained prior to this event, to know where at least three good exits are, three improvised or actual potential weapons to defend yourself are, and at least three places where you can hide, secure, and be out of danger.
Right. It's an unfortunate situation that we're in right now, where this is something that people do have to train for. And I know you train a lot of businesses and companies with Safety Man Consulting, you know, trying to avoid this kind of situation and responding when something like this does happen. And I know you're a former law enforcement. Real quickly, Corey, can you just tell me what that response is like when a law enforcement officer is getting that call of an active shooter or potential active shooter, especially in a hospital? What is that feeling? What is that adrenaline rush to go and protect and you know, quell the threat as quickly as possible?
So any good law enforcement officer will tell you this is what we train for. This is why we raised our right hand and swore our oath to protect our community. However, our honest place also semicolon right after that and indicate that you're going to be nervous. You want to do a good job. Your heart rate's going to immediately go up, as you said. You're going to get that adrenaline dump. But a hospital is a partner, just like a school is a partner. So we always train with our local hospitals as well as our local schools, and nowadays our houses of worship and other things. But hospitals and schools were the first two that we always trained with, because, you know, they had the room, they had the need, And if a hospital is the victim, that's not a good thing because it's going to be harder to care for anybody who is injured. So the hospital, obviously, it seems obvious that they were trained because people were immediately leaving the area.
Right.
They had an idea if they were directed out or they're trained.
All right, Corey Jones, thank you so much. We appreciate your expertise on this matter, on this unfortunate time here. So thank you very much and take care.
Indeed. Please stay safe.
You stay safe as well. And so, again, we see more people now coming out of the hospital with their hands up here. We're going to send it back to you guys at the desk.